All right, Larry Kruger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er update video. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. We're also brought to you by Marin Auto Glass, marinautoglass.com on the web, as well as Sharp Corners, sports cards, and collectibles. 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove. Call Anthony Catania at 831-521-5264. Well, a busy Tuesday or Wednesday, I should say, in 49er land as, free agency officially got underway today. And man, there was a lot of interesting stuff, and much of it is wrapped around 49er football. So let's go right down the list in no particular order. Here are some of the big stories of today as far as the Niners are concerned. According to our good friend Jason Lockenfora, who does radio out in the Baltimore, Maryland market, he says the Ravens have inquired about the availability of Deebo Samuel in a trade, and that the Niners thus far are saying no. Niners want to do a long-term contract extension this offseason with Brandon Ayuk. Deebo's already signed. He's signed to a 3-year, $73.5 million contract extension before the 2022 season. He's slated to earn $21 million in base salary in 2024. He's gonna cost $28.6 million against the cap. Now there is an out clause in Deebo's deal, but it's after this upcoming season. So Niners don't want to move Deebo. Ravens want him. Niners don't want to move him. That's the story. In 2023, he had 60 receptions for 892 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 15 starts. He also had 37 carries for 225 yards and 5 more rushing touchdowns. So not a bad year, 12 touchdowns for Deebo. And by the way, Deebo has switched his jersey from number 19 to number 1. So if you've invested in the Deebo jersey, don't be crushed that he's, still a Niner, but you need to go switch your jersey, or at least if you want to be current. Deebo will wear number 1 for the Niners. Interesting, though, that the Ravens wanted him. I mean, could you imagine Baltimore with Lamar and Deebo and Derrick Henry all on one team? That would be a very diversified, dangerous rushing attack. And you may be handing the Ravens a ticket to the Super Bowl. So why do it? Why do it? It doesn't sound like the Niners are going to. Couple other notes. The Niners officially released their longest tenured player today. Eric Armstead is due to be cut with a June 1st designation. Diana Rossini reporting that Armstrong has interest from the Titans, the Texans, the Bills, the Bengals. A lot of people want Eric. He was the 17th pick overall in the 2015 draft. This last year, he had 27 tackles, 4 for loss, 13 hits on the quarterback, 5 sacks in 12 starts. He played through a torn meniscus in the knee. He played through plantar fasciitis pain in the foot. In 9 NFL seasons, Armstead's got 33.5 sacks in 116 games, 97 starts. I think the key stat when it comes to Armstead is games missed in the last couple of years. He's missed 13 games over the last 2 seasons. I think the Niners love Eric, love everything he stands for as a person, but they want him to be on the field, and he wasn't on the field enough. And so he's moving on. And it's official as of today. There was some talk. Matt Barrows said that, maybe the Niners and Texans would have hooked up on a deal and sent him to Houston. And then Malik Collins coming back. But it just didn't come together. And so now Eric is free to go wherever he wants to go. So if he wants to go sign with D'Amico, he can. If he wants to go sign with Rand Carthon, he can. If he wants to go sign with Robert Saleh and rejoin Javon Kinlaw with the Jets, he can do that. He is free to go. Now, another guy, and it's all based on the Niners offered Eric a contract extension or a contract, restructuring, pay reduction, and he rejected it. So that's really the story there. The Niners also offered the same kind of restructure opportunity to Kyle Juszczyk, and he accepted it. And so the Niners restructured Kyle Juszczyk's contract today. He's a 32-year-old fullback, It created only $1.75 million in salary cap savings, so it wasn't a huge savings. He was slated to earn $5.75 million in base salary with a cap hit of $7.6 million. And, he's a very good player, 8-time Pro Bowler, first-team All-Pro this year, 62 runs for 211 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground, 262 receptions in his career for 2,464 receiving yards. He's a good football player. He's a hard guy to replace. There's not a lot of fullbacks out there. He took a restructuring and he made himself more cap friendly and more team friendly in the process. So he stays. To me, one of the most exciting moves of the day was the Niners trading the 7th round pick to Houston for Malik Collins, who's only a 28-year-old defensive tackle, 6'2", 310. I've liked this guy going back to Nebraska. He wore 96. He wore 97 in the pros. He was drafted by Dallas out of Nebraska in the 3rd round in 2016 and just enormously strong. In 2022 with Houston, he made 16 starts, 41 tackles, 8 for loss, 18 hits on the quarterback, 5 sacks. If you look at his numbers side by side against Armstead, he's got better numbers. He's played more games and for a far cheaper price tag. So that's really what this is about. 8 NFL seasons for Collins with Dallas, the Raiders, and the Texans. He had 206 total tackles, 25 and a half sacks in 119 games, 112 starts. He signed through 2025. He's due $8 million in salary this upcoming year. The Niners have an out clause on his contract next offseason, so they can make it a 1-year deal. Houston winds up saving some money on the cap in this trade. And for the Niners, you look at what happened down the stretch. Detroit gashed them for 6.2 yards per carry. Green Bay ran for 136. Kansas City in the Super Bowl ran for 130. The Niners badly need to improve their run D, and Collins is excellent against the run. He's got speed. He's got power. He's got that wrestling background that I love to see. That usually means that you can play with power and leverage. As a high school junior, Malik Collins went 48-5 as a high school wrestler. His senior year, 48-0 state title. So this guy's not just a wrestler. He's a wrestler, an accomplished wrestler. And he's just got a great power base. And, it's like, I've read his personal story. He's very motivated by the premature birth of his son, Kalen, a few years ago. And he's kind of rededicated himself to his craft to provide for his family. And it's a heartwarming story, but this guy is a monster. I mean, this guy's really a monster in the middle. I mean, he's strong. He's got pass rush quickness. He's going to play. He's 310 pounds. To me, Jordan Elliott yesterday and Malik Collins today. I mean, that's exciting. You got 2 relatively youngish interior players who can wreck shop against the run or the pass. So I like both those moves a lot. Then let's get to the odd move of the day. The Niners announced the signing this morning of inside linebacker Eric Kendricks, who's 32, 1-year deal, replacing Oren Burks and partially replacing Dre Greenlaw, who's out for a long time, you would think, with the Achilles. And you looked at it on the surface and you're like, yeah, it makes sense. And, they're looking for a short-term kind of deal for Greenlaw. But I never like adding players at the end. And this guy's near the end. He's 32. And I just think he's kind of played almost all of his best football. The Chargers cut him this year. He was their team captain. It's not often you see a team captain and a guy who was second on the team in tackles get cut. But that's what happened here. He had 117 tackles, second on the Chargers in 15 games. He had 3.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. He had 6 pass breakups. And on the surface, you're like, hey, he's reuniting with Brandon Staley. The Chargers released him, so maybe he had a good relationship with Staley. But he's a 1-time Pro Bowler. He's a 1-time All-Pro. But then you look at his career and you say, okay, Kendricks, O'Dowd kid, Bay Area. So that's probably why he wanted to come back. His brother Michael played at Cal and briefly with the Niners. I don't think he got into any games, but he was on their on their roster briefly. But he spent 8 seasons in Minnesota, and who was his DC there all those years? Mike Zimmer. And who took him away? And by the way, so Kendricks was slated to come to the Niners, and late this afternoon it broke that no, he's not coming to the Niners. He's going to go play for Dallas. So Dallas is under a lot of pressure to, revamp their whole defense because they couldn't stop the run. They thought they brought in Willie Gay, but he actually went to the Saints. And so Mike Zimmer obviously got on the horn to Eric Kendricks and was like, "Hey, don't go play for the Niners. Come play for me, bro. I'm your guy. I've been your football daddy since you came into the NFL. I'm the one who taught you the game. I'm the one who did this. I'm the one who did that. Come play for me." And Kendricks said, "Okay, you're right. I'm doing it." So he broke his verbal agreement to the Niners, and he goes and plays for Dallas. I don't really care about this. I mean, as far as, it doesn't bother me in the slightest that Eric Kendricks said no, because I don't like going with old players. I don't like old players blocking young players, but I really just don't like older players who have already played their best football. They walk around like they have, the world owes them a favor. And it's all based on what they did in some other team, some other market, some other season. And I don't like that. So I was not a big fan of the Kendricks, decision to bring him in because I thought he was old. I mean, if you're going to go get a linebacker, Devin White's out there. Go pay a little extra and get Devin White. Or better yet, don't get either of them and wait around till the draft. You could get Cedric Gray in the second day of the draft out of North Carolina. He's a stud. He's a monster. I'd much rather have Cedric Gray than Eric Kendricks. You could wait to day 3 of the draft. The UCLA kid, Darius Muasau, very instinctive. Nathaniel Watson from Mississippi State was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's going to be there on day 3. And then Kalen DeLoach. If you watch DeLoach at Florida State, I mean, he's an impact runner. Then you got D. Winters, you got Jalen Graham. I wouldn't sweat the fact that Kendricks left you at the altar. Still, screw Kendricks, and when the Niners and Cowboys get together, somebody go bury him. But either way, I get it. I understand. I mean, Zimmer has been everything to him through his career. Now Zimmer's like, "Hey, come play for me in Dallas. Come on, man." How do you turn that down? It's very difficult to turn that down. And the last news of the day is the 49ers re-upped on a deal with Kevin Givens. It's a 1-year deal for the former Penn State Nittany Lion. 6'1", 285, 290. Undrafted free agent out of Penn State in 2019. This is one of the real success stories of the Niners personnel department. They got this kid as an undrafted free agent, and he's been a contributor really his whole career. 17 games this last year, 1 start, 22 tackles, 3 for loss, 4 hits on the quarterback, 1.5 sacks, 1 PBU. He's only 27. He's had 4.5 sacks in 5 NFL seasons. He's a speed rusher. He's a 1-gap up the field penetrator. He's made 57 career games, 13 of them starts. He's a backup defensive lineman. But what I like about him is he's a pass rusher. He's an interior pass rusher. And he can put some heat on the quarterback. If you ask him to just play a limited number of snaps, he can heat up the quarterback. And that's a good thing, especially from your backup defensive lineman. You added 2 guys that are monster, I think, against the run, but they're big-bodied guys. About, both Jordan Elliott and Malik Collins are about 310. Where Givens is smaller. He's 290. He's got a little bit more pass rush ability than those guys do. And I think he's a nice compliment as a backup defensive tackle in the wide 9. All right. So there you got it. Let's also mention our sponsor here, Aura, the Krug Show in this video. 49er update on day 1 of free agency is brought to you by Aura. Let's have a word from them right now. Have you ever typed your name on the internet and seen all of your private information is online? Are you tired of receiving tons of spam calls from random numbers? Are you receiving more and more of these as time has gone on? Well, that's where Aura, the sponsor of today's show, can really help you out. Data brokers sell your information to scammers and spammers and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, your email, your home address, all your records, your health records, who your relatives are. It's all out there. That's why I've been using Aura. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers who could use the information to help them access my social media accounts, my bank accounts, or any other sensitive information. Aura also does so much more to protect me and my family from online threats I can't see. I get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. It's really easy to set up. And best of all, I get everything at one affordable price. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to the link in the description to start your 2-week free trial. So there you have it. Thanks to Aura for sponsoring our video today. The Niners re-upping with Kevin Givens. They signed Eric Kendricks, but they didn't get the name on the contract, and he backed out for the Cowboys. Who cares? Malik Collins is a new 49er and a good one at that. I think that's a real nice pickup. Kyle Juszczyk restructured his contract. Eric Armstead was officially released, not traded, but released, and he's free to seek a new home. And the Ravens have come calling for Deebo, and the Niners are like, nah, we're not trading him. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to Aura. And thanks to all of you for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.